Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is a podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
Today, we want to get into some questions around mediumship. We were in our monthly training session this month with wonderful group of people. We did address several questions all around mediumship. So we'd like to dive in, talk about these questions, and really get into what happens when deceased loved ones want to come and interact with us, and some of the rules and regs that we might set up, and also when can they not. The questions are really interesting, and we also feel if one person has a question around mediumship, there might be several people having the same question. So let's dig in, shall we?
Let's do this.
All right, so the first question is, do you know if deceased spirits see, interact, communicate, or even collaborate somehow with alien beings, ETs? Has any deceased person come through in a reading and conveyed that this connection exists?
You know, that's an excellent question. And to my awareness, the extraterrestrials, the interdimensionals, ascended masters, the angelic realm, they have their own channel. We are on a universal tuner, like a universal web. And I always equate it, the other reason why I say that we live only one life, an eternal life, is because how we might perceive death is dying in this dimension and then being on the other side of where you come from that, which is right here, right now. However, life is relative, and aren't we right now living on the other side of where we come from before we got here? That connection is you're always alive, it is always interconnected, and yes, you have the ability to tune in to extraterrestrials and many other wavelengths, channels, vibrations of consciousness, and it is an instantaneous connection. That's why, kind of like here, that we're on the other side of where we come from before here. Do you want to tune into ETs? What? Anything, because all of these channels are playing all of the time. Just because you're not tuning in doesn't mean it's not playing. Now, in addition, with some of the studies that I've done, we literally were able to blend dimensions or channels together, and it became like a conference call between extraterrestrials, ascended masters, the angels. There was a variety of beings that were coming through all at the same time, all connecting and creating a new unified channel of consciousness. So there are many different ways to connect and communicate, but I also love the fact that they help us to help ourselves. It can be a lot easier and less complex.
And also remember, we have the spiritual team, right? Which is composed of all kinds of beings. Some of them might be extraterrestrial. Some of them might be past lives. Some of them might be future lives. Some of them might be loved ones that have crossed over and then come back here and said, hey, I want to be a part of your team and I want to help you out right now. And so we have to kind of think outside the box sometimes, that the rules and regulations that our oversoul puts into place to help us grow and expand while we're here on earth. It's pretty cool. Like, we don't actually know all of the rules and regs that are set in place because we do have what Jamie calls that forgettery when we come in. You know, we forget where we come from so that we can actually be present here right now. But all of our spiritual team can compose of loved ones and aliens and guides and the list goes on and on, elementals, whatever you connect with. And so your spiritual team is composed of all the beings that your oversoul feels can support you on your journey in this lifetime. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience because, yes, your loved ones can communicate and interact with extraterrestrial guides if it's needed, right? In love, for the best of all concern, for your soul development as you're here right now.
But remember, as I always say, life is relative because we, as humans, are extraterrestrials to everyone else. It's a very relative term. And again, that eternal life of connection and communication has always been. And when we can learn to tune in, if we choose, to these channels, it will enrich and expand our souls of consciousness. And when we're able to get some more help and sometimes a different perspective, it can change the way that we see life and interact and experience it. So, again, for myself on my team as spiritual team, I do have extraterrestrials, ascended masters, angels, a variety of other beings that are able to help me in a multidimensional sense. They're able to pick up energy vibrations of creation, connection, and all those kind of things that is tuned into. Again, we can open up as much as we would like and bring those beings and other people onto our teams, loved ones as well, from us and our connection to families and whomever, that it's all about the love and connection of everything.
Beautiful. So the next question is, other than giving living friends and family a sense of peace with their visitations, how much influence do departed loved ones have in our lives? In what other ways do they help us? For example, do they have the ability to plant thoughts in our minds? To set up certain situations and events in our lives? Bring people into our lives? Can they manipulate or set up events we need in our lives to help us? And do they communicate with our guides? So there's a lot of questions here. So let's break this down part by part. Okay. How much influence do departed loved ones have in our lives? Let's just start with that basic question, because that's going to really determine a lot of the answers to the other follow-ups on that. So how much influence, Jamie? What you actually do this 24/7 as a medium. So from your experience, how much influence do our loved ones on the other side really have in our lives right now? Once they graduate, once they go over, how is that influence? And do you see it show up in your experiences?
Yeah, the ability to give the peace in visitations is perfect, but it's also when they can help us. They do not do it for us, they do it with us. It is not manipulation, it is co creation. And they can plant thought seeds in your mind that if you choose to connect with it and let it grow, you can work with it. Again, it is all about the love and connection. And when our loved ones can co create and bring people into our life experience and opportunities and dynamics, it again is the co creation, the energy movement or the energy flow of consciousness. And when we start to realize that we get a lot of what we think about because we're planting those seeds, we realize that our loved ones can see a lot of the seeds that we're planting, the thoughts that we're having, and they can help drop new vibes of energy into our mind through co-creation, that if we even allow to pick up that energy. Again, it is the communication that they are with us and but a thought away. But in addition to that, yes, I do have a lot of people from the other side, our loved ones, that are connecting to ascended masters, to angels, and other dynamics of connection and communication. And it's brilliant because it's just matter of fact to them. To us, it's whoa, this is wild and crazy cool, which it is, but it's also a very natural ability. Remember, all of these natural laws that exist within the universe are a constant. They are always functioning, whether you're aware of them or not. So our loved ones can help us to connect with the right people in the right way at the right time for the right experience and the connection of opportunity. And then as those manifest, if we choose to nourish those seeds of consciousness, it is our choice if we want to do it or not. They can just help us to help ourselves.
And walking around with Jamie Clark gives me so many opportunities to see what it's like to have psychic Tourette's. Now, this term, psychic Tourette's, was deemed by Tina Powers, who is
Yes,
also a
it's
psychic
awesome.
medium. Because if you know Jamie, he walks around, he feels things, and he goes, "Oh, hey, can I tell you something?" And then blah, 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 blah. So I was hanging out with my friend Tara, and this is before Tara graduated. She's now on the other side. And she was contemplating having a new relationship in her life. Her ex was already on the other side, and he came and said, "Hey, I'm going to help bring someone into her life." So yes, sometimes that is communicated from those loved ones on the other side. I will help facilitate this for you because it's what you are looking to manifest. But it's the same thing Jamie just said. You're already planting those seeds of consciousness so they can support those seeds. They can help influence some of the people that are drawn to us, the experiences that we might cultivate in our lives. And again, this has to go through your higher self. It is not allowed unless it's for your best interest and your best soul growth right here, right now, according to your oversoul and your higher self. So remember, your whole spiritual team is going to work through you. Whether it's you here and now consciously, your higher self, your oversoul, it works through your energy, your soul print energy. It doesn't work without the permission and without the okay. This is for, Maggie's best interests or so and so's best interests. So remember that your oversoul, your higher self, is kind of like the one that can help orchestrate some of that as well. And your master guide will be there to help orchestrate the guides that come in to help get information and situations that might be beneficial for you. But yes, our loved ones can jump on our spiritual teams. They can help co-create experiences from the other side. Remember, they're not really dead. They've just graduated. They're just in a different form of existence, like a different dimensional frequency. So that means they're just as alive as you and I. And so if I can send energy to a friend to help my friend that is going through whatever and they're looking to shift something in their lives, why wouldn't they be able to, right? As long as it's in love for the best of all concern and it's for our best interests. And that's where we do rely on our higher self to know better than we do consciously what is the best for us.
And I think it's great when we can realize that it's our empowerment of choice to listen to it and vibe with it, but also to get some of the benefits that come from that experience. And in a way that you were willing to open up to not only your loved ones, but to life itself. And they will help us to come back to life and no longer so much survive, but give ourselves the opportunity to live. Now it's from the fullness of the heart and soul with living, no longer the bottom of the heart and soul with surviving. And so it's vastly more energizing and more encompassing than we realize. And when we can be brought into our own spirituality in a casual, comfortable way, it's a little bit easier to integrate and accept in whatever way that you would like to that other perspective of information, those channels of communication. And it's really cool because my master guide Chi does orchestrate my team. And again, like I said, many different beings on many different channels, yet he can instantly connect with them at any time. So these channels are always on and receptive, your choice on what channels you want to tune into and what you'd like to play and communicate on that channel.
Here's another example to help you understand what's possible. So when Jamie and I first started dating, Jamie's mom, who's on the other side, came to me, woke me up at 4 a.m. and said, I wanna show you some, talk to you, show you a few things. And we spent, I don't know, it felt very quick, but I think about 50 minutes to an hour went by, and she took me on this little journey of Jamie's life. And I was like, why do I need to know this? She goes, because you need to know who he is. And so I found it very curious that, only a few dates in, and all of a sudden his mom showing up to me going, hey, you got to know who this person is. And I want to show you from my perspective who this person is. And that definitely had to come through my higher self for her to be in my energy field. My higher self would not have allowed that conversation to happen if it wasn't for my best interests, because that's the relationship I have with my higher self, in love, in light, for the best of all concerned. cool. If it's in love and light for the best of all concerned, it can come into my energy field and I can open to it. So I was very trusting. And I had never had seen a picture of his mom before. Well, not the way she appeared to me. And I had never seen anything like this. I've never really experienced anything quite like this of an introduction of a family member on the other side of someone that I was connecting with. So I found it really fascinating that they took the time, that my higher self thought this was just as important as Elaine, Jamie's mother, did. So it's really cool because yes, they can come and influence some things about our lives. And of course, at that point, that was a huge influence saying, okay, there must be something to this relationship if his mom is coming to me and telling me all these things about him. And even after that, I said, Jamie, I had this experience with your mom and she showed me this and she told me this and there was something here. And he confirmed everything that she had said. So I knew that it was real. So sometimes, is that an influence to get Jamie and I to be closer together? Well, it certainly was. I was very much more curious about this person I was dating. Like, why would his mom come to me and why would my team think that that was a good idea, So yes, that had an impact on me. It had an impact on the I guess the importance of the relationship and what it could be and develop into. And it kept my eyes open and more aware and alert, going, okay, this is someone really special to me if they're taking the time. And shortly after that, even a friend of mine, a departed loved one, who was my mentor on the other side, we had several conversations around my relationship with Jamie. And, he took the time and he was extremely clear. It was like clear mediumship communication, which, as you all know, if you've been listening to this podcast, is not my strongest point, but it's something I do, for myself, and I have my own connections, and it's something that I'm constantly learning as well. So it was very profound that those messages were very clear, very open, and I was very consciously aware of all the components of it. And so that was not just one influence in my life, that was two, one from Jamie's loved one and one from my loved one. So having both of those come in side by side within, I think within a month of each other, was very important to me to say, okay, wait, pay attention. There is something to this relationship where if my team is stepping up that much, I need to pay attention. So we want to think outside the box, because the other part of this question that we haven't gotten to yet was, how much does the departed influence have on the trajectory of our lives? Well, from my experience, that did influence the trajectory of my relationship with Jamie. So it wasn't a make it or break it influence. It was purely informational. And what I notice is the other side, they're not trying to convince you to do something. They're not trying to say this is the best for you. What they're doing is they're saying, take a look at it from this perspective. Here's some information. Feel into it. You make your own decisions. They will not try to manipulate our free will. They will not try to, have a specific outcome that they're pushing for, with their own energy. It is more informational, like, hey, if you choose this, here's some information around this. And so I think that's really important to bring up, is because sometimes people are like, well, are they manipulating? Are they controlling? Is they really want that for you? And it doesn't matter if they want it or not, because they don't come in with any kind of push-pull energy. It is purely just, hey, take a look.
And notice what you're saying, that my mom and possibly the other person that you were connected to were able to show you or communicate with you different facets of my life and who I am as this beingness. And so that co-creation, that information that was shared with Maggie, possibly gave her a different perspective and more solidness of understanding a little bit more of who I am. But not only that my mom would come to her, which has not really ever happened before. So I just need to say, one, they do have an awareness of circumstances that are potentially coming up for us. Two, kind of like what happened, they can give you the bridge of connection, of information about that person or circumstance or dynamic to give you more empowerment of choice. because once you have some knowledge, you've got something to work with and compare. Otherwise, what am I supposed to do? And so our loved ones are really good at being able to just drop thought patterns into our mind that, like I said, if we choose to vibe with, we'll connect with. And a lot of times, the closer we are with relationships, like my mom and I and others, that connection is you're more in tune. You're more open to listen or connect with that person because you have a stronger mental connection with them. And so, again, kind of like now, we're here on the other side of where we come from before here, we're able to connect with them on the other side of where they're from before here. So it's kind of a relative connection that all of these channels, like I said, are always playing, but our loved ones also know some of the channels that we can tune into to go, here's some more information. Here's something to think about. Not like this is the only way. It's they're very open and receptive. And I've got to say, just from my awareness, unless you have your own spiritual experiences or you graduate life, every time I connect, my soul is full. It's like the best mood you've ever been in, the best meal that you have ever had. It is effortless, and I just have to be me and no judgment ever, ever on the universe's part, completely loving and accepting. And when we realize that, as crazy as it is, that love allows everything to be because isn't good, bad, happy, sad all alongside each other on this planet and other places? Well, it's all one, but yet it's all happening in individualized experiences. So then it becomes our value that we place upon the circumstance or experience or person. And when they can give us some information that can possibly change that perspective, if we even choose to change it, that it's more informative and less restricted. Because a lot of times we're very focused on one thing, like, okay, I'm aware of this, but sometimes getting that different perspective, not better or worse, but different, gives you a different vantage point to go, I've heard that stuff 1,000 times, but click, that's the first time I kind of see it that way. All right, I'm going to try it. And kind of like we might share, or I might share information with the person that I'm reading for, our loved ones can do the very same thing. It's very, again, it's all interconnected. And this is our loved ones on this planet. They're not coming to us as some of the other vehicles, the other bodies or beings that they are in other worlds. So again, it's the alignment of comfort, love, and compassion.
Now, another question that was posed to us is it's posed to us quite often actually. Sometimes right after people pass, they have more of a connection to that loved one on the other side right after they pass, and they feel really connected, they can communicate well, and then all of a sudden it fades out, and all of a sudden, where'd he go? Like, where's grandpa? He's supposed to be talking to me. I haven't heard him in a while. I haven't been able to connect. Why am I now not able to connect when it was so easy right after he passed?
Well, again, they do have an awareness of how we might perceive realities because a lot of times they'll come in really strong in the beginning and then they kind of fade off a little while. And then the average person will do this. Did I do something wrong? Am I not tuning in? It's like, no, they're trying to get you to be able to learn to live with them in their new place, like they're learning to live with you in yours, and truly but a thought away.
And also remember, when you're on the other side, you have a life to live. It's just a different type of life. You might be exploring other places. You might be getting ready to incarnate. You might be frolicking in the cosmos. I mean, who knows, right? And so, again, you don't stop living when you graduate life. You just keep living in a different dimensional vibrational frequency. And there you have it. Because we are eternal beings. And that's the one thing that we have to it's so hard to take that concept and remember that it applies to everything, including mediumship. So grandpa right now, he's still around and we can still connect. But yes, it's also having that ability to connect right away and to have that instantaneous connection, communication. And it doesn't mean that they go away, but they are busy. But when Jamie says they're a thought away, we can pull them back into our energy field and we could say hello. And remember that sometimes they don't say things or don't, you know, speak up loudly sometimes because our higher self's like, not right now. They've got to, whatever you say right now isn't going to be the right time or the right situation. Remember, this is all filtered through your higher self. What's best for you? If you start focusing on mediumship, does that change the course of your life and will you fulfill the purpose that you decided you wanted to come in here to fulfill if you go down that road? For some, yes, for some, maybe not. So we want to just kind of be aware that all these all these things happen because our higher self, our soul is saying yes or no, this is good, it's not needed right now, or it's not necessary. And I remember feeling so frustrated that I couldn't connect with my mentor on the other side after he passed. And it's like, why can't I? And because I was grieving. And also, our human emotions can get not in the way, but they can be something that we have to deal with, and we have to go through a healing process before we can actually be ready to see them in a new way, hear them in a new way, experience that in a new way. So, there's a lot of reasons that it could or could not happen, but there's a few for you.
Well, not only that, as I'm doing this kind of work, and it's not work, it's who I am, but notice I can tune into the psychic channel of the people still alive here on the planet as we perceive it, or the mediumship channel, our loved ones on the other side. All it is but a thought connection and communication of it. So, like I'm saying, they're always on and playing. It's, do you want to tune into that specific channel, or do you just want to let it play on its own? Because I'm willing to bet you could go through the dial on the radio thing, FM or AM, and just go along, and as you do, you might hit a channel that has certain music playing. Not all the other musics, that one on that channel, that one on that radio station, or whatever it is that you're tuning into. Why? Because you're consciously connecting with it now. You have a focused area of awareness. Everything else is playing, but it's kind of on the peripheral. You're not distracted by it. You're attracted by this reality as we perceive it to give yourself the gift of living in the present. That's like Mag is sharing that forgettery. And unless you start to question and want to open up and expand and become that inner space astronaut, a lot of times we'll just keep it surface level. Okay, here's the life, and here's this experience, and here's the connection, and okay, great. But it goes way beyond that, way beyond that. And truly, it's an amazing experience when I can bring these connections together with people and allow them to thrive in their own way. Because to me, I'm about the empowerment of self realization. And when we can start to realize that each one of us can make our connections and we do have the power to do this, it can be a better world one person at a time. And who am I going to start with first? Myself. Because I cannot give what I do not have. And as much as I give to others, I give to myself in addition, so that it's an effortless co creation and an energy of love. And one of the parameters or rules and regs that I have of tuning in are, when I'm doing the mediumship or whatever the case is, only positive, loving beings are able to connect with me. Otherwise, I do not exist to the other energies. It's that kind of a practical connection that I have a lock-in safety switch, meaning I'm not going to have these oddball energies come through because, one, I've already put the intent. Two, my Master Guide Chi is very effective at honoring those intents or my rules and regs. So he's very able to help orchestrate and connect with loved ones, ETs, angels, whoever it is. And when you start to realize that you do have the empowerment to keep yourself safe just by your awareness and acceptance of a reality of it, it becomes a little bit easier to start allowing things to fall into place instead of trying to make them fall into place. So when we can tune into ourselves, that's playing as well, just like everything else, it will become and give us a richer, fuller connection to life, love, and us.
Now, we have one more question we're going to address, and it doesn't have to do with mediumship per se, but it is a great question to, just kind of like look at how does this all work between your soul, your higher self, and all these things. So here's our question. Many NDEers, which is near-death people who have experienced near death, okay, say to, quote, let go and let God, unquote, to surrender the need to control. But many of us are afraid to because that means we are in a kind of victim mode by just allowing things to happen, which may lead us into making mistakes. How do we give up some control, yet still avoid getting into some perilous situations? So, this is kind of a loaded question because, first of all, victim is definitely a mentality state. Okay. So just because you let go of control doesn't mean that you are a victim or not a victim. Okay. So a victim mentality is separate from letting go of the need for the need to control everything. Let go and let God is a faith, a trust in the universe, a trust in the divine timing, the divine plan, divine frequencies. Okay. But victim mode is how you personally are responding or reacting to the flow of life and how it shows up for you. So when we play victim mode, we are usually in a place of reaction. And when we're not victim, we're in a place where we're able to respond to life. Okay. Is it happening to me or is it happening because of me? And so remember that we do not think that because we can let go, surrendering control and let go does not have anything to do with whether you're a victim or not. That's completely how you are engaging in life. So if you feel like you are being victimized by the flow of your life, the first thing to do is to look at where you're reacting. Where are you giving your power away and where are you playing victim? And then how can you change that by your choices? My belief system is that when I discover where I play victim, I can choose to change my thought patterns. I can choose to send love to my issues that have made me feel like a victim or contributed, I would say, to feeling victimized. So remember that this is about finding a way to empower yourself when you feel disempowered. Feeling victimized is a place of disempowerment. We are all about empowering yourself so that you can do these things that people talk about, like let go and let God. What does that mean? Can I trust? Can I have faith that this is going to unfold? Do I feel like I can control situations? Do I feel like I can manipulate those situations? Or do I have the faith to let go? How much influence do I have on my life? These are very serious questions that we all are asking ourselves all the time. So the question is, how do we let go and let God? How do we trust in the universe, in the divine timing, and trust that everything that's showing up in your life right now is for your best interest and your soul growth?
And for most of my life, I was always, I'm going to make it happen. And that was an empowerment, which was good. But I found also that when I was trying to make things happen, I was trying to make it happen a specifically one direction way to get to the end result. And no matter how much I would do that, it's coming, it's going to be there, okay, I didn't realize I was planting those seeds of someday. And so I didn't realize why it kept being someday. And then it became kind of like that, act as though I am and I will be. And not only that, the ability to be the end result of success before it's there in a proactive way. Meaning, here's what a lot of us will do, and we tend to live in a reactive state of experience. If I have this job, then I feel successful. And if I have this amount of money, then I feel wealthy. And that's great, but we'll end up waiting for the outside physical manifestation of the job, the money to happen to feel successful and wealthy. When if you'll start accepting it as a reality already there as the lock-in of manifestation, you now have 360 degrees to allow the universe to let these experiences and people flow into your life, not be forced into your life. And when you stop trying to force things and start to flow with things, it will become a lot more easy to live and less to survive life. And just by the fact of being open to let go and let God, or whatever you'd like to label it, is an empowerment. Because guess what? You just chose it. You chose it. That's how powerful and easy it is. Just by what you would like to do, how you would like to do it. Because our loved ones and our guides, they do have an idea of what can be very beneficial for us. Kind of like, if you make this direction, here's the outcome. Here's this direction, you'll get this outcome. Notice that for me, I'm able to do that for people psychically. If you do this, it's there. If you do this, it's there. Well, was I tell you, it's already happened, or I wouldn't be picking up the potential of it. So now we see that if everything's already happening now, what we think about can plant those seeds of connection to that experience or opportunity that's growing in our lives, and we can tend to nourish it more by watering it with our thoughts of consciousness. Because those thoughts of what you think about are also what I read on people and mediumship and psychic abilities. Not only that, what we think about consistently is what also constitutes that personal magnetism when you first meet someone. It's either like, man, I just love your energy. I don't want to get to know you. They don't have to say a word, yet you'll feel their energy. Some have a nice, good, clean energy. Others are, how is it possible to have a dirty, greasy energy? Yeah, but they do. So you know what. Well, wait a minute, that channel. Aren't we just now talking about those things? Exactly. Each one of us is a channel on the cosmic wavelength. And in being able to tune in, that's how our loved ones know who and where we are out of all these billions of people. Is like we have the IP address on the internet web, we have the SP address, the soul print address on the universal web, never lost and always found. And so now we see that these connections we are always creating, but it's in what channels do we want to tune into and share with others.
And the other part of this question is this person is afraid that things might lead to a mistake. Well, I don't believe in mistakes. I believe in learning experiences. I believe that every choice we make is the right choice. Second guessing it, feeling guilty around choices. Okay, yes, I have made choices where my highest good, my higher self was like, not a good idea, Maggie. Mm-mm-mm. And I did it anyway. And there were consequences. So, yes, yes. But that's a learning experience for me to be able to trust more in my higher self, trust that that guidance that I've been cultivating, that I've been asking for my whole life, that I really, really enjoy, does have my best interests at heart. But we're also in a experiential planet of free will where we don't have to follow that guidance. We can do whatever we choose to do. So a mistake is not a mistake, it's a choice that we're making. Okay. And when we decide, oh, that wasn't the right thing, we end up calling it and labeling it a mistake in our society, but it's not a mistake. It's a learning experience saying, that didn't work out right. That really didn't go the way you wanted. Okay, cool. Next time, let's go down a different direction. Let's change that. Maybe you change your approach. Maybe you change what you say or what you do or where you go or however that looks like. But you get to learn from every choice that you make in your life. And this is part of the empowerment phase. If you accept that it is your choice, you can always say, I have the ability to empower myself. If I make a quote unquote wrong choice, which I don't believe in wrong choices, but a quote unquote wrong choice or a mistake, then empower yourself to make better decisions next time. And it's just one of those things where when we accept the responsibility of our lives, of our choices, of our own empowerment, that's when it gets good, guys. That's when you get powerful. You claim your own power. You become feeling good, empowered, like you could choose to be who you are and choose to just be. And so remember that, like, this is, some people say it's semantics, but it is an approach to life, a way of living. And when we are empowered, we can explore our psychic and mediumship development way more because we're not going to feel victimized by whatever comes up or happens. So remember that going forward with your evolution, that the choice to be who you are and the choice to live your life the way you want to, it's yours. Your higher self, other people, the universe, all can influence that. But again, this divine matrix is not set in stone. Like you're going to come in, you're going to do this, you're going to check out, and that's it. No, free will is a real thing. That divine matrix is constantly shifting, constantly molding, shifting, changing, morphing. Like, gosh, what is that crazy thing I'm seeing in my mind's eye? Like this nebulous thing that just keeps going, whir, 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 because we keep making decisions and it's not always what the universe expects or a higher self might even expect at times. So be relaxed with yourself, but be also find an empowerment that works for you.
Not only that, if you're acknowledging that you're making a mistake, then you must have the answer or you wouldn't know that you're making a mistake. Now, not only that, that ability to create and be proactive as if it's already there is also one of the techniques that I do daily. And that for me, I wanted to make sure that I was not manipulating other people to get what I'm looking for. But this technique that I'm going to share with you and a couple of others are what allows me to do this work. And like I said, this is who I am, not just what I do for the past 22 years. You know, if you do anything 5 years or more, you must be doing something right. Let's go way beyond that to go, man, these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural. And so what I do each and every night is last night, I'm on autopilot now, but last night before I went to sleep, I created a future memory. Last night, I was mentally already at the end of this following day today with this energy vibe through everyone else's energy field and back to mine with gratitude of being of service for those who even choose to vibe with the energy. And now here's the intent that I send, that each person, for their own choices, reasons, circumstances, and needs, will magnetize to me in every way that I may be of service to them. And by the time they leave my presence, they will feel more loved, connected, directed, and validated. And I always say, and I didn't make you do that, like I didn't make you come and see me, because I wanted to make sure that they knew firsthand they didn't go into a trance. Their own circumstances, choices, reasons, and needs helped to co-create the very reality that I already accepted. And they weren't coming in like a zombie going, I will see you. No, they had their own circumstances that out of all of the people on the planet, they chose to come to me. How lucky. Really? Or is it precision on the universe's part?
So thank you for taking this little Q&A walk with us on mediumship and a couple other exploratory questions. And have fun, get empowered, feel empowered, positive choices, whatever works for you. And remember, you set up your rules and regulations. So have fun with your psychic evolution.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are so grateful that you have taken the time to spend with us on our podcast today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And remember, these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
And if you want to have more fun with your psychic evolution, we do have a mystery school. Check it out. There'll be a link in your show notes, and you can join us and indulge in all our classes and become a part of the Psychic Evolution Inner Eye family. And if you feel like this podcast can help someone, please share it with a friend if you feel like it could help them grow and expand in their psychic evolution.
Until next time, have fun with your psychic evolution.